Welcome back to American Foamer in Switzerland. I am once again pleasantly surprised and flattered by how many international viewers have come to my channel and started to follow my journey in Switzerland, with just the first two videos of this series. So, with no hesitation, I now present to you Part 3. May 15th, 2026. I awoke bright and early after a very long rest. I was very excited to explore the railway of my dreams. Sadly, today I read that it was going to be a rainy and cold day, just like yesterday, so I decided I'd mainly just hang around the Chur area and try to get some trains there. One thing that had always interested me was just south of the city. It was the RHB main line south of Chur station, most notably this dual gauge segment that runs from Chur down to Ems Werk, about 8 kilometers in length. While standard gauge passenger trains always terminate at Chur, freight trains continue onward and use these tracks to access the factory at Ems Werk. This did not appear to happen very frequently, as not many videos exist of this operation, but I was able to find this video from 2021, and after asking the owner for more information about when these trains run, I was led to his site and found out that this operation usually happens around 7 in the morning on working days. Adding to that, between Chur and Reichenau-Tamins, the Albola, Surselva, and Chur S-bound lines all share the same tracks here, making it possible to see all three from the same location. Thus, I decided to head out to Ems Werk to see for myself. This will be my train to Ems Werk, an ABE 416 Allegra. This train, being part of the Chur S-Bahn, will take me straight to Ems Werk with no transfers needed. Oh, nice. I'm the only one in this car. With that being said, let's do a tour. There's a bathroom, as you can see by... Never mind, there's one there. I'll restrict your privacy. Let's see. And look, you get a map of Graubünden on every table. Isn't that cool? Look at those cliffs. Beautiful. The fog's covering those snow-capped peaks. Yeah, we're going through the crossing I was at yesterday. Oh, we already went through it. That's where we meet the standard gauge trains. Cool. Cool.
Sitzers Halt auf Verlangen.
Alright. Wow. Alright. I'll save in memory now. On the way there, I saw this TM22 diesel switcher working at Untervat's Truman Station. Santa. snow goes around in May. Gotcha. Passing through Chur station.
Nächster Halt, Chur. Dieser Zug verkehrt weiter nach Ems.
Looking at some stored EW coaches and freight cars. If only those things were on the main line.
Nächster Halt, Chur West.
Welcome to Ems Werk station. I noticed that container train doing some switching right when I got off. Hold up, wait for me! And this is what European tanker cars look like. Oh, Capricorn. Keep walking. See if we can get that Siemens Vectron leaving. Some Sir Selva Line Capricorns pass as I get closer. Sorry for the bounciness, the car was coming from behind. Okay, I've got the tripod set up now. Now we can see that the motive power for this container train is a Siemens Vectron owned by BLS. Capricorn passes by. Did you hear that high-pitched shriek? That was the train's whistle. It's quite common for trains in Switzerland to not use conventional air horns, but rather these shrill, high-pitched whistles that happen to sound like a lady screaming. Our first all-Bullabon train of this trip. This is the Alvar set with the Sakura Blossom sticker on the side, symbolizing the RHB's partnership with the Japanese Hakone Tozan Railway. Another Capricorn. The switcher comes out of the factory with more container flats. A brief history about this locomotive. This little switcher is a T239 class, manufactured by the Czech builder Czech-built in 1994. This class was among the last locomotive types manufactured by that builder before their closure in 1998. This particular locomotive, T239SO1, is technically one of a kind, being designated T239S and the only example with a modified lower cab roof ever built. SO1 arrived at Ems Werk in the mid-1990s to replace the older diesel switchers, and has served here ever since. It was originally painted yellow, but received this red livery sometime in the late 2010s. Surprisingly, not a lot of photos or videos exist of it online. An ABE 416 Allegra passes by. This is the one I rode here, now heading back the other way. Capricorn. Sir Selva line Capricorns. Oh, what's this? Another Capricorn! Now, here was a surprise. A freight train led by an RE620 showed up. I had no idea that another standard gauge freight would show up when there was already one here. This train has stopped to set the switch. Oh, and it gets passed by a set of Capricorns. The RE620 proceeds onwards. RE620s and the closely related RE420s are within their final years of service. With new Stadler locomotives set to be introduced to the SBB in 2027, retirement is imminent for them. Here comes another Albalabon train. Don't try. The switch is set and the freight train heads to the unoccupied track to drop off its train. The switcher is now heading back onto the same track. It will take the freight cars from the RE620. The 620 will couple itself to the other cut of cars in the siding to haul them back through Chur, as we'll see later. I haven't mentioned this yet, but notice how the trains are running on dual gauge track. The tracks were laid this way to enable RHB trains to drop off narrow gauge freight cars here as well. This operation did not last very long, and it appears they stopped doing this in the early 2010s. The extra rails were never removed, so the middle one is just there to rust. SO1 was also fitted with a center buffer to allow it to couple with the narrow gauge rolling stock, which has since been removed. However, if you look closely under the locomotive's buffer beam, you can see the rivet holes that form the shape of a square, which shows us exactly where said coupling used to be. Here comes another 4-car Allegra. And here comes a Capricorn again. Oh, that's surprising from behind. Bernina Express! This train will travel the entire length of the Albola and Bernina lines as it makes its way into Italy. We'll focus on that line in a future video. Would you look at that? Another Capricorn! But it's not just any Capricorn, it's 3111, the class leader and the one that has a special "I led the world's longest passenger train" sticker on the front. Oh yeah, if you didn't know, in 2022, RHB set a world record by coupling 25 of these things together and ran them down the L Boulevard. Still doesn't make me like them. Capricorn. SO1 comes back up with another set of freight cars that we saw earlier. A GE443 electric locomotive, number 644, passes by running light. Only to be photobombed by While distracted with that, SO1 is pushing its cars down the factory track. An ABE 416 Allegra of the Chur S-Bahn departs Ems Werk. Out comes the switcher again. This thing really reminds me of the fictional DE2 locomotive from the game Derail Valley, although it's not the same. Oddly enough, the DE2 was based on a similar Czech locomotive class, the Czech Class 708. An ABE 416 Allegra passes by as SO1 couples to the front of the container flat cars on the occupied track. flat cars out of the way, the BLS Vectron can now pull up to the switch to get ready to depart. My first ever time of seeing the train of my dreams, the Glacier Express! Some services are coupled to a regular RHB train on the first leg of their journey. The panoramic white coaches of the Glacier Express will be uncoupled at Chur station, turned around, and led to Decentis by a different locomotive. The train of my dreams is followed by the train of my nightmares. More Capricorns. Hey look, more Capricorns! And there's SO1 shoving those container flats back in the distance. The same Alver we saw the first time is returning the other way, now with another EW coach in its consist. And I got a whistle! Yay! Here comes SO1 again. SO1 will take the RE620's freight cars off its buffers to allow it to hook up to the other consist. For a brief few seconds, this Capricorn and SO1 appear to be racing. Another Allegra. This is the same one I wrote down here. It's now done one full trip to Chur and back. It's a Capricorn. Need I say any more? Oh, but at least he whistled for me. Capricorn. Haha, yes! That Vectron is finally moving! I thought it was going to pass me, so I zoomed all the way out. Turns out, it had to stop at the switch first. Unlike in the US, most European trains are staffed by only one person, the driver. It's now time for the moment we've all been waiting for. The Vectron departs. Haha, photobomb by a Vectron. Take that, Capricorn. GE442 number 632 hauls a short maintenance train right behind the container flats. Had our train been a single car longer, we might not have seen it. Ah, but he got me there. The container train will now come to a stop at the end of the line to get permission to enter the dual gauge segment. We sadly will not see it again, as it departed before I could head back there. The Glacier Express from before is now heading back the other way, now with GE442 number 623 leading the way. I had packed up the tripod when the short freight train came by and caught me by surprise. This is the same GE443 we saw running light earlier. Now at Ems Werk station, I saw this Alvarez set heading back towards Chur. It was here I realized that RE620 had now moved to the other end of the consist we saw sitting there earlier. It's now heading back, right after the last one? Oh my, I'd better get ahead of it to stay on the dual gauge segment. Prepare for trouble. And make it double. Capricorns, that is. This is a Surselva line service that will skip Ems Werk. The RE620 is moving once again, now to the end of the siding to prepare to enter the main line. We see one last shot of SO1 through the fence. Another set of Circelvaline Capricorns. And another Albolavon Albert set. Finally, here comes my train, and it's an ABE 416 Allegra. I will ride this train one station to get in front of the freight train and catch her entering the RHB main line.
Proxima fermata domat Ems.
Not knowing how long it would be until the freight train departed, I rushed to the other side as quickly as I could and set up my tripod. The crossing gates stayed down after that train departed. We all know what that means.
Nein, das machen wir nicht. Für unsere Tochter, meinst du?
If you look closely, you'll notice the third rail for standard gauge trains changes from the left to the right side to avoid the station platform. You'll see the train change sides again after it clears the station. And just like that, I saw what I've been wanting to see for years. The standard gauge freight train that uses the dual gauge tracks. Actually, wait a minute. I hadn't just seen one, I saw two of them. I'm not actually sure if they run two at a time on a usual basis or if this was rare, but all I know is I was definitely very impressed. Back home in America, narrow gauge trains are pretty much a thing in the past, and besides one small operation in California, the only active examples function as tourist and heritage railroads. Thus, seeing an active dual gauge track was super exciting to me. I considered going back to Chur, which would have meant riding this Capricorn, but then I realized something. In the several hours I had been out here, I hadn't felt a drop of rain. Thus, I decided that since I'm already on the south side of Chur, and the weather has been better than I thought it would be, I'd try something else that I've wanted to see for a long time. I will ride this Capricorn to Tusis. From there, it's a few stops on the Albolabon to Filisur. Sadly, this is where I will end the video, but worry not, as more rail fanning from the beautiful Swiss Alps is sure to come. Chartreuse Rail Fanning, signing off.